What is good, my YouTube people? My name is Taylor Cross. I am 24 years old. I live in North Carolina. In 1993, I was born about 2.5 to 3 months premature. Technically, because I was born so prematurely, my eyes weren't developed all the way. Because I was on the verge of, dying, they're like, okay, we're gonna give this baby some oxygen. Load her up with oxygen. Load her up. Load it up. So they gave me excessive amounts of oxygen above the normal level, which resulted to abnormal blood vessels on my retina. So typically an average person has an acuity of like 20/20 vision. They're able to see, beyond 20 feet. I'm considered legally blind. I can't drive a car. I literally can't see within like a few feet in front of me. Sometimes actually a few inches in front of me, depending on where I am. If it's nighttime. Honestly, people ask me what it's like to be, legally blind. What's it like to have low vision, or like how am I supposed to explain to them like what it's like to be in my shoes? Dude, I have no idea what it's like to be in your shoes. I don't know how good you see. You don't know how bad I see. I don't know what to compare it to. There's a spectrum of different eye conditions that you can have. Like so ROP is what I have, retinopathy of prematurity. The last stage of that is when the retina completely detaches. This is my retinopathy of prematurity. I use my peripheral vision of my eye to see. So, for instance, like, an average person with 20/20 vision they would use their central vision to get around. So in high school, I had a really bad self-esteem. I would always, bring myself down. I would always say like, no one's ever gonna like you, no one's ever gonna love you because your eyes look a certain way. Because you can't see like that person from across the room, or you're not able to drive. Like, if you have a great personality, if you're a loving, caring human being, then someone out there is gonna love you. It's all about self-confidence. And that's the hardest thing. Like, in high school, we're already battling our trying to fit in, trying to be the cool kid, trying to be the jock, trying to get good grades, trying to get into that college, trying to do so much. And like, being in high school and having like a disability, I was stuck in my own mind. I was so focused on how people, like, what people think of me. And when I should have been loving myself, I should have been just more open on who I am. Like, explain to people, like, why I can't see something, or if they can read something to me. So, after high school, I attended Wake Tech for about a year. I was lost. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I felt alone. I felt like I was missing a part of me. And, I started cooking at home. I started, watching the Food Channel, because of course I'm a fat ass and I love food. Like, who doesn't love food? Food is love. Food is life. What else is there to live for? Like, food is great. So I started picking up cooking, and I decided, okay, I'm gonna try culinary school. I'm gonna see if I like it. I'm gonna see if it's a good fit for me. And people are like, oh, you're gonna be around sharp knives? Like, you're gonna be around fire? You're gonna be around hot oil? You're okay with that? Like, you're blind. Like, you're okay with that? I'm like, yeah, I mean, we'll see. I spent 2 years in culinary school. I got my degree in culinary arts, a baking and pastry certificate, and a restaurant management certificate. I've actually had moments where I felt like I was, like it was deterring me But all I did was ask for help. In those moments, all I did was ask for help, and people are nice enough to understand and help, and that's all that matters. I remember my first few classes of being in culinary school, and I would have to explain to my chefs. I'm just like, hey, I'm actually blind, and when you're showing me how to cut something, you actually need to come over and show me personally. Or like in lecture, I had to be like, okay, so you need to give me a copy of those notes. Like, you need to tell me what's on the board. And of course they're okay with it because people are accepting. Everyone's so accepting of disabilities, and that's what I love. But on another topic, there's people out there that are not too accepting. I found that being and working in a fast-paced kitchen and having that, adrenaline rush and that, let's go, let's get the food out, let's chop that, let's do this, let's fire that. It's so much fun. And the one thing I don't focus on is on like, damn, I'm blind. I don't focus on that. Like, I focus on things like, oh, I have to get the food out, I have to do this recipe right, I have to keep my area sanitized, I have to do this, I have to do that. I'm focused on this particular job. I've worked at 5 restaurants. I actually started in fast food. I worked at Chick-fil-A. I was there for a year. I worked at an assisted living place. I worked at a Italian restaurant. And then I worked at it's like a restaurant / fine dining movie theater where we serve dinner and a movie. And I'm actually going to be starting a new job at a hotel. So I'm pretty excited. So initially when I went into these interviews, I was like, I'm going to be straight up with you. I'm a great employee. I have great work ethic. I'm always on time. Like, I'm always there. But that I do have low vision. And they're just like, oh, you have low vision? Like, can you see? How are you in the kitchen? It's always the same questions. Like, it's kind of comical. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I can run circles around some of these line cooks in the kitchen. The chefs are always like, oh, wow, that's awesome. How are you able to use a knife? Do it. How are you able to use a knife? That's the question. So, I ended up getting these jobs, and I made a name for myself. Like, I proved to these people that discriminating against people with disabilities, with low vision, is unnecessary. Like, if someone has the qualifications, if someone has the passion, if someone has the motivation to actually, like, work for you, to pursue that job, then give them the job. Whether they have, low vision, legally blind, deaf, like, you'd be amazed at, like, what people are dealing with and, like, what they overcome. So, I got to prove these people wrong. Actually, one of the sous chefs was like, wow, I wouldn't have thought you were, able to do that. And I'm just like, why not? If you generally like them as an employee, have faith in them. I mean, yeah, some will prove like you wrong. Someone will make you question why you even hired that person, but others will make you reconsider, and will make you, really evaluate, like, just evaluate things. So, oh, this is my jam. Anyway, yeah, so, it does get lonely sometimes. I always grew up around people that were normal. People that didn't really have, like, the same complications as me. I grew up around people that weren't, usually around people like me. So they didn't really know how to act, how to like be around someone with like with a vision problem. Like, it's like I remember like some of my friends like, oh, did you see that over there? Oh, look what that sign says. I'm like, no, I can't, dude. I can't even read the goddamn menu. Like, can you read me this menu? And my friends are like, damn, you're blind. But, you know, I love you, so yeah, I'll read you the goddamn menu. And I'm like, okay. So, I'm in more of like a visual world where everyone's driving, where everyone gets up, gets in their car, goes to work, comes home. I'm also in an area where our public transportation system is terrible. Thank the Lords for Uber. Thank the gods for Lyft. Because without them, like, I would have been lost. I would have been, like, even more lost. Like, even more isolated. So one thing I do want to mention, if you have a child growing up, if you have friends that feel like they're alone, you need to tell them to love themselves. You need to tell them they're beautiful, that they're able to do something. Because people like us are often, we're often discouraged really easily, and we want to give up because we don't feel like we're good enough. We don't feel like, we sometimes feel like we're like a waste of life. But you need to reinstill in that person that they're worth it. Like, I don't know if I'm able to do that. I don't know if I'll be good at that. You need to tell them, yes, you'll be good at it. You need to push them to go and try things. Like, even a sport. Like, there are sports now for people with blindness. So that's honestly why I'm making this video, because I hope people will reach out to me, and maybe I can meet you guys, and we can talk, and like we can talk about our lives and how shitty it is to be us. Just kidding. So, if you didn't know, this is my first video of talking to a camera. It feels weird because I feel like I'm talking to a piece of equipment. So I hope my video was informative or entertaining. Or if you have any questions, if you want me to make more videos, if you want to know anything else, leave a comment below and hit the like button.